Hey y'all, it's Monday, and I'm sorry about the lighting. Gosh, ever since the time change, the lighting is screwy. But I'm going to do this video today for Pulmonary Hypertension Awareness Month, and I'm going to talk about Nicole and her diagnosis. And I know this is going to be really tough for me because it's so personal, but I'm going to try and get through this. So, hey Jim, how are you today? I'm going to take you back to December of 2009, and Nicole had been volunteering at a church event, and the people that she went with, when they brought her back, they said that she'd had a really hard time, and that I really should take her to the doctor because, you know, she just struggled. And so I scheduled an appointment. I called Nicole's pediatrician at the time, and it's one of those offices that have, all these different doctors. And so one of the doctors that Nicole saw when she was quite small was my favorite doctor, and he had left to go back to his home state. But I had heard he was back, so that's who I wanted Nicole to see, is because he had always listened to me. And listening, you can listen to people, but you cannot hear them. And I knew that he would listen as well as hear what I had to say. And I'm looking at my notes because I'm trying not to go off on a rabbit trail. So I scheduled the appointment in December, and because he was only in that office 2 days a week, it took a while for us to get in. So fast forward to Thursday, January 21st, 2010. We go in for the appointment. I explained to the doctor what Nicole's symptoms were, which for Nicole, the major symptoms were her turning blue, her lips would turn blue if she was swimming and got cold, or shortness of breath. Nicole would ride a bike for a couple blocks, get really short of breath, would have to stop and catch her breath before she could continue. So he put a pulse ox on her finger, which is just one of those little things that they put on your finger. I don't have Nicole's here. So he put the pulse ox on her finger, and for a healthy individual, your pulse ox, which measures the oxygen in your blood, should be around 98. That's normal. He put it on Nicole's finger, and while I don't remember the exact reading, I do remember it fell in the low to mid 80s, which is totally abnormal. So he thought the pulse ox was broken, and he asked his nurse to go get another one. And she did, and they took it again, got about the same reading. So he's like, I'm going to go get some oxygen, and I'm going to put oxygen. I want you to wear some oxygen for a few minutes, and let's take it again, which is what he did. Now, I don't remember what that reading was, but I do know it was not a normal reading, even with the oxygen. But what I will never forget is him looking at me and saying, this isn't good. It's not something you want your doctor to say. So he said that she needed to see a cardiologist, and he would get it set up. So we go home later that day. This is still on January 21st. I get a call from the cardiologist office, and they're like, we can see her tomorrow morning. I think it was morning, I'm not sure, but it was going to be the next day. And so I went ahead and I took the appointment. And so the next day, we went to the cardiologist, and he took her history. He did EKG, and based on that EKG, I'm trying to read what I wrote. And based on that, he did the echo, which showed that, based on that, he did an echo. Based on the EKG, he did an echo. And the echo is what showed her holes in the heart. It showed her Eisenmenger syndrome, and it showed that her pressures in the lungs were higher than normal. And the pressures in your lungs should be no more than 25. So we were told her EKG had not been normal. So the cardiologist said her EKG was abnormal, but it was normal because of her congenital heart defects. Now, the thing was that when Nicole was 6 or 7 years old, she had to have an upper GI done, and they had to use sedation. They used a general anesthesia, and so they did an EKG, and the EKG was read as normal. The cardiologist, the pediatric cardiologist, read the EKG as normal. That was the first time Nicole was misdiagnosed. He told us at that time, the cardiologist told us that there was no cure for pulmonary hypertension, and which is what he really focused on. He didn't go into the congenital heart defects other than she'd had them since birth and they had not been diagnosed, obviously. He did not really get into Eisenmengers at all. But he said that at some time in the future, she would probably need a lung transplant, and that she would never be able to carry a child because the strain on her heart would be too much and she would literally die. We left that day, and I can't speak for my husband and I can't speak for Nicole, but we were all at this appointment together. But I was devastated, obviously, but give me a second here. I was devastated, but I was grateful at the same time for having a reason for her symptoms, as well as validation that I wasn't crazy or paranoid, because let me tell you, the doctors had tried to tell me I was both. So that was what led to Nicole's diagnosis, and I'm going to stop at this point. Because tomorrow I'm going to come back and do a live video about the testing that is done prior to and to confirm a diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension. So I'm going to focus on all the testing, and this is testing that Nicole gets. I'll equate it with the testing that she still does get, and I'll tell you, I'm going to try to make it personal toward Nicole. So, and I don't want the videos to be too long, and so my hope was that I was going to do these videos over on my other page, A Day in the Life, and I did do that last week, and I shared it on my timeline, but it didn't seem to do as well as if I did it live on my timeline, so that's what I'm going to do. So I can't see everybody that joined, but Saliti, I hope I pronounced your name right, I apologize if I didn't, Mina, Missy, Geraldine, and I can't see who else joined, but I appreciate you all joining. And so I just wanted to come on and let you know. So about Nicole's diagnosis, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video, and I'll talk about all the testing. So thank you so much, and I hope you all have a blessed day. God bless.